my goodness, it's this last degrees of Pisces, you see. It's making minds foggy. I'm sure I'm going to remember I forgot something in my taxes or something, because it's this Mercury at the last degree of Pisces. It's quite beautiful, but, you know, it's kind of hard to think straight sometimes with all this Pisces energy. So I don't know about you. I'm kind of ready for Aries season to start, for this drying out that's going to occur. So when Mercury moves into Aries, which is in about 9 hours time now, I'm just getting when it's happening up, your mind will get more focused. Mercury in Aries is much more focused and kind of very active and very passionate. Okay, it kind of craves new challenges when Mercury's in. I'm going to actually pin my video and then share my screen, so I'm not just looking at a name on it. There we go. So that's the where we are now astrologically. So I'll show you. Mercury is over here and is at 29 degrees and 19 of Pisces. Let me see what the chat. Hello, Abby. Nice to see you. And so, but when it moves into Aries, really all this, you know, wonderfully creative but quite fuzzy thinking, which is kind of why I forgot to record, is going to start to clear. The fire of Aries is going to start to dry out this very emotional, very foggy energy that we've kind of had for the last while, really. I've really enjoyed it, but I'm always ready to roll with the changes and have something different. And Mercury moving into Aries really should be very good to start new projects, to really kind of enroll in a new maybe course of study, or producing a new workshop, or doing lots of well, not really so much reading, but more kind of more learning, to say, hey, I want to start this now. Your mind will be very active, going, I want to get this done, I want to think about this. Communication will be a lot clearer, a lot sharper, a lot fuzzy, a lot less fuzzy. I don't know about you, but well, I mean, and I think this has partly triggered my Facebook cull thing of I've been going on about, and that seems to have upset a few people. I think, what can I do? I had to do it for me, because suddenly it became overwhelming. And you know, I'm finding that the majority of my Facebook friends are fabulous, so I'm hardly unfriending any. But I did see some, and this is kind of what triggered it, with all this Pisces energy, a lot of kind of insanity, and people really almost kind of all of this fear-based stuff, and particularly around politics, because I got a lot of political contacts when I was campaigning for Bernie Sanders, because I was involved in the grassroots campaign. So anyway, I'm having to let go of some of those kind of people, really. It was not really about just numbers. It was more about, I could not stand the overwhelm of seeing some of this awful stuff out there. So, you know, anyway. But that's kind of to explain the energy. It was, Pisces can be very overwhelming. And, you know, especially if you're empathic yourself, then every other people's fear really kind of can drag you down, even if you don't feel the fear yourself. So so we're moving out of this fuzzy thinking, this real people kind of thinking very fearful things. It's been kind of weird for quite a while. And then Venus also enters Aries tomorrow, and that because yes, Pisces, yeah, my Mercury does it tomorrow for some of you, on the 6th, early on the 6th, but for us it's just kind of in this day, I think. But anyway, it's in the middle of the night. And then Venus enters Aries later tomorrow too, and And then love natures and about earning money and things will start to get a lot more fast. There's going to be a lot more action taking, tempered with general other things slowing down, but I'll talk about that more in a minute. And I'll talk about it now because, that's why I say we have kind of this 2-day window with Mercury and Venus going into Aries and all the planets direct. So even though Jupiter is stationing, he is still direct until the 8th or the 9th for most parts of the world. So it's late on the 8th here. So we've got these 2 days of real go get it action before things start to slow down. And then the rest of the month is more about starting new projects, taking action, but not expecting overnight results because things start to slow down with retrogrades. Now then, Jupiter goes retrograde late on March the 8th, as I said. The Jupiter retrograde is until July the 10th. I did a whole video about it, which I think I posted on my page. I must post it in this group. And really, in Scorpio, Jupiter retrograde in Scorpio is really about going into deep psychological depths and psychological exploration. And really, I always find the good side of Scorpio is like buried treasure. Scorpio is a very private, very deep kind of energy. And Jupiter retrograde is a real opportunity, that's a good Jupiter word, to go and find your buried treasure in there. And to look back over the time since the middle of December, when Jupiter was at 13 degrees of Scorpio, and see what's been going on since then, see what you need to review, see what parts of your buried treasure or your inner gold, if you like, you were not bringing into all that you were doing. I do think there's going to be more kind of energy of disclosure and revelation and secrets, like the Me Too movement. I think there's probably going to be a review of that and how it's going. I found it interesting that in the Oscars there was a lot of talk about it, but if you look at the list of winners, of course there was the 2 women, the Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. Of course there was those 2, but in the rest of the winners, I think there was only 2 other women up on the stage with getting awards, and they were in partnership with men. So I think there's a long way to go, and I think this Jupiter retrograde coming up is going to be a bit of a review of this Never Again and this Me Too, and see where are we really, what's really changing here, and in other areas of corruption too. Now, I'm not going to talk about the minor aspects going through this month. You'll see those on a daily basis on my calls. So I'm going to jump straight to, from March the 8th, I'm going to jump straight to March the 17th. Hi, Faye. Nice to see you here. And the new moon in Pisces at 26 degrees, that is again triggering these last degrees of Pisces. Now, let me move forward to that day on here so we can look at that new moon. And I do just need to go back a little bit to get to 26 of Pisces, and I will point at it all when I get there. Because it's, I do have the time. It's 7:11. So the new moon is at 7:11 a.m. Mountain Time, and so that's 6:11 a.m. Pacific and 9:11 a.m. Eastern, and 2:11 p.m. on the East Coast. I think no. I mean in the UK. I mean. I think. Anyway. Let me just answer Abby. She just sent me a private message. I'm just going to write it. Okay. Yeah, where was I? Yep, the new moon, because I'll be doing that at the end of the astrological talks. I've got 2 to redo as well, but yeah, I can still do that. Anyway, so the new moon is here at 26 degrees of Pisces. Okay, and if we look at this, it's really it's aspecting Vesta. It's still aspecting that Jupiter in Scorpio, and it's aspecting Mars to a degree as well, actually, and it's to conjunct Chiron. So I was going to say that this new moon in Pisces is got a lot of because it's feeling the pull of Aries already, and it's aspecting the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius over there, and Mars and Vesta. There's a lot of focus. Okay. Oh, you can send it through Facebook by message. It's up to you. All you need to do is attach a debit card if you do it through Facebook or Venmo. I'm on Venmo as well, my name. So there's lots of ways to do it. I just can't really do it any other way while I'm on a call. So, okay. But I understand about PayPal. So, but if you want to look at Venmo, you can find me by my name, full name, Louise Eddington, and my pictures there. Or Facebook Cash. Okay, so lots of focus and commitment. It's kind of focusing us to finish up the whole astrological year, really, especially because it's right at the end of Pisces. And Vesta is the keeper of the flame, and it's focus and commitment. And there's Mars right at the end of Sagittarius, about focusing on our truth. This new moon is really kind of leaping us into the new astrological new year. It's conjunct Chiron, so I think there's a hell of a lot of healing and wounds to come up. But I always think of Chiron as the shaman. So this is the shaman new moon, I'm going to say, especially in Pisces, and aspecting that galactic center. I think there's some amazing new information going to come in from actually, Abby, hang on a second. Sorry, everybody. Anyway, yeah, so I just think this new moon has got this amazing healing quality to it, and this real kind of ending quality as well, ready to, I think I've always felt that even though the start of this year was a bit crazy and a bit insane, and all this Pisces energy has been sending people a little nuts, overall this year has such a good feel to it. A year for really getting it done, really starting new things, and this kind of lead into the astrological new year of this March, and starting with this Mercury Venus shift into Aries, and then also then the new moon, and then the sun going into Aries is going to be a real kind of real new beginning. So if you've got things to start, even though Jupiter goes retrograde and then we have a Mercury retrograde coming up, it's a good year to, it does feel like an ending. Yeah. It is all about the ending of the beginning of the end. You're right, Faye. It's like, that's why I was trying to say, I think you missed that bit, that it's kind of the time of the birth canal and the amniotic fluid and birth and the time before birth, but it's also death. It's also the place of death. I don't know if it sounds right, so the ending of the beginning of the end, it sounds right to me. So so yeah, it's kind of birth and death in a different way to Scorpio. But it really, I love this astrological new year time, and this one seems to be a little bit more extended almost, because Mercury and Venus are leading the way, and then we have the new moon, and then we have the sun going into Aries. So it really feels like this month is a time to finish up some old stuff and start some new stuff. This is the time to set your new year intentions, if you like, and to create your vision board, or to do whatever you do to really kind of set goals and intentions for the new year. I always think this is more potent time than January the 1st, which is really kind of an arbitrary date, to be honest. Even in the southern hemisphere, I do think it's just energetically with Aries, it's very much about new beginnings and get going. So that's the new moon. It's a new moon kind of leading us into it, and it's at 8 degrees, and the number 8 is, that's infinity. It's kind of a one of the kind of more magical numbers. I always have to look it up, everything else that's wrong with it, because I'm not a numerologist. But it's 26, which is an 8. And so I am going to look it up. I have a friend who's a numerologist, so she always gets me looking at the numbers too. So number 8. Here we go. I like that the number 8's perfectly balanced as well, and that but it's about balance and power. There you go. And it's often just talked about money and power, and it has got stuff to do with money. Of course, it's about, it can be about creating more money, okay? But it's more really about balancing the material and the immaterial worlds. That's what I wanted to say about it. So then, if you talk about that as well, really, Aries is very much the material world, if you like. I always think of it as, and Pisces is anything but. So we're at that balance of the year to start balancing the material, the spiritual. But some of the recognizable traits of the 8 are drive, ambition, authority, efficiency, organization, management, discipline, and control. 8's goal-oriented, focused, has good judgment. And, that all feels very Aries too. So I've a really good feeling about this March. Okay. So on the same day, shortly after in fact, let me go to hours, shortly after the new moon, we have Mars. Mars is going to move into Capricorn there. Okay. And, there's Capricorn, the builder, and Mars Mars in Capricorn is a bit foot on the throttle, foot on the brake, always, because they are kind of opposing energies in a way, but they're also not. They're also very much, they want to achieve, they want to get things done. Mars gets a bit frustrated with Capricorn because Capricorn is a slow it down, and he's approaching Saturn when he enters Capricorn. So there is an element of, I want to get it done, I want to get it done, and again, slow it down. Things are going to start to slow down, but I would welcome it if I were you, instead of getting it frustrated, because things have been a bit chaotic so far this year, and the chaos is going to calm down. And this was where I know you'll be listening again, Todd. This was where I said this, I feel, is a message for you and the work and your mini reading I did for you, that things are going to start slowing down in your job. Okay. So, but I'll go back to your mini reading in a minute. But that's one of the first signs of slowing down, because Mars has been in Sagittarius, which is very fast moving, fire and fire. And now Mars is slowing down and saying, just get things done. This is a time to start creating schedules, start creating your lists, and really start to stick to your schedules and to really get your to-do list done and to get the work done instead of being visionary and creative and crazy. Things are getting more focused. All right. I'm getting very dramatic today. Then on March the 20th, okay, the sun enters Aries, up there in Aries. So the Aries energy really increased. That's when we have the astrological new year. It actually enters Aries at 12:15 p.m. Eastern, so I'm a bit off there, but oh well, it depends. Some of these times seem to be a bit off on this list I've got here, but it's around then, let's say. So the Aries energy really goes through the roof, basically. Then Venus has caught up and overtaken Mercury. Again, that's more of a minor aspect. We'll talk about that on a daily thing in the pages. But at that point in from early in the day on March the 20th, for me anyway, we'll have the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Eris and Uranus over there, all in Aries. So real kind of new beginnings, but in a steady way, because 2 days later, 2 days later, Mercury actually stalls and goes retrograde. Now, I am not a big fearer of Mercury retrograde, okay. I kind of like Mercury retrograde, and I was not born with it, okay. Mercury goes retrograde at, yeah, it's actually 8:19 p.m. on the East Coast at 16 degrees and 54 minutes of Mercury of Aries. I find Mercury retrograde is very much kind of about just, again, it's a time to slow down, check details. So, I get it that with this rush into Aries with Mercury and Venus and then the sun going in, we're trying to rush ahead, and and it's another sign to say, just steady on, double check everything, stick to your routines, stick to your schedules, back everything up. Old people might appear, you may have to redo a few things, but it's nothing to Mercury retrograde gets so overblown for something that happens 3, sometimes 4 times a year. I always think if people's technical stuff starts to jinx and stuff like that they're actually really just not paying attention but going along with the energies. They're pushing against stuff that shouldn't be pushed, and they're not taking that step back and double checking, and they're maybe not just learning the lessons of it. So I'm going to jump straight to the end of the month now, 31st. Okay, so we have, I'm going to go back a few hours. My dogs are starting to get like it, telling me it's nearly dinner time. Go away, dogs. Oh, actually, let me just turn my volume off and shout my daughter. But oh no, it's too early for them anyway. I was going to make her feed them, but poor thing, she's got one of the bugs that's going around, fever and stuff. But she'll be fine. She's good. Just watching lots of TV. Okay, so on the very last day of the month, we have an energy shift again. Okay, we have a full moon, which is always a fulfillment, and I'll talk more about that full moon in a second. And we also have on the same day Venus moving into Taurus, right on that same day. So the full moon is in Venus, Venus ruled Libra, opposing the sun and conjunct that retrograde Mercury. And Venus going into Taurus is about creation, manifestation, if you like, and also about connection with nature. And isn't that perfect as the weather warms up in this hemisphere, at least we can get outside in nature more and start planting our gardens, start getting our hands in the dirt, especially. Can't do it any earlier here anyway. And this new moon is squaring Saturn and Mars over there in Capricorn. And Mars is right behind Saturn. So at this point, Mars is feeling really frustrated. Okay. So this really is the new moon at the end of the month with the review of Mercury retrograde conjunct the sun over there in Aries. My overall take on it at this point, sometimes I get new information as I write blog posts about it, but as I see this full moon, new moon, this is a point where we suddenly go, am I in right relationship to all that I'm in relationship with, to nature, to creation, to earth? Am I taking enough time out to smell the coffee, as it were? Am I paying enough attention to my relationships about who I am in relationships? Or am I trying to be a human being? A human doing rather than a human being? Because this full moon is saying we're all in this together. And when I say we're all in this together, I mean not just people. So there's a lot going on there regarding that. And Saturn is really saying, just slow down. We now have 2 retrograde planets. We now have Saturn slowing everything down. We have Mars in a slower sign. We have Venus now moving into Taurus, slowing us down even more and saying, get in touch with the body and just connected and grounded and earthed. And I've talked about the theme of sculpting for the year. I really feel this year is for about, yes, there's going to be tremendous opportunities, particularly a bit later in the year, but it's to be coming from a very much more grounded place and kind of making your own opportunities and really getting back in touch with your own skills and not thinking any answer is out there, and thinking about what you are bringing into your relationships in that respect. Or are you still making it all about you, all about me, whatever? So that takes us to the end of the month. I will do a call for April next month. April again has not got a huge amount of major aspects, but it does have some very interesting energy shifts again. We're getting a lot of energy shifts this year. April, we have Chiron moving into Aries. And in May, we have Uranus moving into Taurus, and that's going to be huge, but I'll talk more about that later. Okay. Right, so I'm going to redo the mini reading I had for Todd And then I'm going to redo the mini reading for Angela. I'm sorry, Abby, if it was kind of a bit last minute. You know, I gave you the options. I didn't see anything come through, but if you did want to do it, you've still got time to quickly do it by Facebook Cash, Venmo, or that Book Me Boss that was within the event. It's hard for me to go and find these things when I'm on the call though. So Todd, I was saying that things are going to slow down for you. B, this was the first card. Luckily, I remembered your cards. I'm just going to redo completely Angela's reading because I cannot remember what her cards were, except that she had this one in there too. But anyway, and I'm going to get your chart up while I do it too. But yes, I do think things are going to steady down for you in this job. I know you're finding it very overwhelming at the moment. But A, you know, the season's shifting. B, you're cool. Okay. You know, the season's shifting. I do think, you know, you are going to kind of get a handle on what works in the job and things like that. But also, you have to deliberately look for what brings you pleasure in it and in your work, because this is actually in Scorpio. So what brings you joy and things? What brings you deep kind of oh, sorry, that's the wrong chart. No, I'm not going to share your chart. I'm just going to look at it, Todd, because that was too, yeah. And that was the other thing I looked at. Jupiter is retrograding. Conjunct some of your planets, but in your house of joy and creativity and fun. So this card tells me you have to deliberately kind of slow down and say, where am I going to take the joy in my life and where you're not going to let the job take it over. It's easier when you're first in a job to say, well, they can't do without me. My husband's an expert at that, actually, at saying, no, I'm not actually going to let this kind of take over. All right. So you must learn that lesson. Then you had the one of discs here. That was your second card. Okay. So I can never remember what that means. Because I always pick the right cards in tarot, but I need still am at that stage. So this is about experiencing success. That was it. Okay. Internal and external success. And it's actually a message to say you're not willing to support the dichotomy of internal success and not external success, or the vice versa. So you're going to kind of set rules to bring the balance and say, hey, yes, this new job brought us here and things, but I have to have the balance. All right. And it's gonna come from you, Todd, for sure. But the last card was the strength card, saying, yes, you've got this. Basically, you have the strength to do this, and so know that you can get through this tougher time of you settling in, and you are going to come out the other side. Okay. Right then, Angela, you had I'm going to pull 3 new cards for you, but yours was about the house and about feeling more comfortable in the new house. Sorry, in the house you're in. And so I looked to see. It wasn't Jupiter retrograde, because let me see what else I saw. I did see something in your chart that I talked about. Oh, well, Jupiter's going retrograde in your first house. So that's kind of about getting more comfortable. That was it. Getting kind of more comfortable with who you are. And we kind of talked about that in the other reading I did about this being this external success. It's about looking at what you've got and going, hey, actually, this is really pretty good stuff. Everything's feeling a lot more settled and slow for you. Things in your house of pleasure and joy and fun are slowing down as well. So it's all looking to you just slowing down about change and saying that you need something else as well. But the cards, let's look at the cards. Okay. Oops, I just knocked something on the floor. Too many things on my desk. So this is about good judgment and discernment, okay? And the Aeon represents, this is a long period of time. So this is a reminder that all perceptions come from our ability to look at the whole, and that it's our inherent desire to consider longevity, history, and broad perspectives in all situations. It's about learning to really step back and look at what would be a good thing to do. And to take, I see this card as you actually looking back and looking at that house you're in, because I've seen pictures and it's gorgeous. So I love that you said you're kind of taking the step back and looking at what you can change that just didn't feel quite right. And then you've got the Cancer card, which is the home. Okay, this is the crab. And you look at him, he's the Chariot, and he is saying, withdraw inwards and really get settled. Because it's horrible being unsettled all the time. I feel like you are just going to go within and get settled and realize that wherever you are is home, really. And then the last card, where you're going, is another interesting one. Okay. So this is a mastery card. The royal cards are all mastery. And this is the Princess of Discs. And this is the creativity and birth of new forms. And the book always says she's the mastery of creative power. She's the woman who has been over the volcano and through the briar patch. She bears new life that has been gestating and incubating within her for some time. She's fertile and abundant with either a new identity, lifestyle, creative project, or human being. She has the Aries crown. Don't you think that's interesting as we go into Aries? And that's pioneer nature. Okay. The snake on her shoulders, which transforms into an ermine cloak, represents her earthy and ancient passion to create. The Princess of Disc desires to give birth to new forms that are in alignment with who she is. It's the crystal one. I almost see you mothering your house. Okay. Mothering this house you're in, nurturing it and loving it in a way that you've not done before, and kind of birthing this new relationship with this house you're in. Does that mean you'll never move? Who knows? I never say never, but I really have this feeling and I love that you said you were starting with some of the plants in the garden or something with some of the garden, because this is very nature earthy card. And I keep getting a picture of you out there actually doing the gardening. I don't know if you've ever been a gardener, but I really see you doing that. Right, so I'm going to get a drum track up, my loves. And where did we drum? Oh, I don't care where we journeyed to the other day. We're going to do a different one. Oh, yeah, no worries. No worries, Faye. Yeah. If you want to do the journey, you can record. come to the recording, because this time it is recorded. It was all very last minute anyway. So I'm going to just play a recording, and actually it was to your middle world. That was it. Now the middle world in shamanic journey work is a place we go to where, you know, we kind of want to talk about maybe to our dead relatives, to our ancestors, to our spirit guides. The middle world is not a place where we go down into the depths of the soul. It's kind of a magical alternate reality where we kind of step in to ask questions where we need to be now. Okay. And I just want you to go into this middle world. You normally go through a door. Okay, you just start where you are in the drumming, go through a door and into this complete alternate reality world. Mine's kind of a dome, like in the Truman Show, only it has all kind of weird things in there, like the Teletubbies, and it normally has your garden in there, your spirit garden, and there's kind of, mine's got sections. And anyway, but in this journey you may encounter your dead relatives, you may encounter some of your spirit guides, and just go in, look around, see what that place has to say to you, and what you need to know for March. If you've got any specific questions, you know, what you may find the soul of your business. If you have a business, you may find that in your middle world. And, you know, what you need to know to maximize these energies for March. Just go and see what the spirits tell you. Let the drumming take you in there, and just ask as many questions as you need. When the drumming slightly changes, that's the callback. I am just going to play a recording. I'm not going to drum myself. It's been a long day. I've done my taxes. I'm tired. Then just come back to where you started. The call will end at the end of the journey. This journey's for you. Share if you want to, anything about it in the group. I love to hear, but don't feel you have to. But this journey is for you to kind of figure out, or to get some spiritual assistance for just making the most, if you like, of the energies of March as they come up. So let's get this going for you.